Okay, so we say that in order to solve a data-based problem using visualization, we start with data at hand and the business problem on the other hand. The three stages that we are going through is going to be grabbing or collecting the data, understanding and analyzing data, and finally communicating the results. Grabbing and collecting the data is usually done by someone else, not the business intelligence team, someone who is responsible for collecting and cleaning the data and making it useful for us. The other two stages are good candidates for using visualization. So we can analyze and understand the data using visualization, and this is what we are going to do. After we understand the data using visualization, we can use visualization one more time to achieve the final stage, which is communicating the result. Why I'm stating these three parameters? Because in most of cases, you will find that people are starting with the data and they would like to jump directly to the communicating stage. So here is the data. Let's build the dashboard. It doesn't work this way. Once you have the data, you need to start questioning, you need to start thinking, what is the purpose of using this data? Why this data can be useful? What are the main parameters or the main insights that I can derive from this data? And then you start putting some hypotheses. And we say that this is exactly what we will be doing. We will be looking at the HR database or the data set, and we will start thinking how this data set can be useful, how this data set can help us take the decision to improve or to reduce the turnover, decrease the amount of people or employees that are leaving the company at early stages. So the first stage is going to be collecting the data, and the data is already collected. We will be considering only this part. So now we are going to start with the second stage, which is analyzing and understanding the data. Thirdly, we go to the last stage, which is building the dashboard. And here comes an important question. If we would like to compare the amount of time that should be spent on the second stage, which is analyzing and understanding the data, versus the amount of time that should be spent on the third stage, which is communicating the results, which one is going to be more time consuming? Building the dashboard to communicate the results or building the charts to analyze, okay, this is right. Yes, analyze. Yeah, 100%. Any thought about the percentage? Is it going to be 60% for analyzing and 40%, for example, for communication? 70% for analyzing, okay. 80-20, yeah, that's right, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. So I agree on that. It is more time for the analyzing than the communicating. Thinking and understanding the data would take way more time than building the dashboard. And I'll be agreeing with you, even if you say that analyzing data should take up to 95% of the time, and building the final dashboard should take only 5% of the time. I will be completely agreeing with you, even if we went to that extent. Why is that? Because the time consuming activity, it's related to understanding and trying your hypothesis. You start with some ideas in mind. I feel that the highest impact, the highest influencing parameter on the turnover, for example, it's the salary, it's the experience, it's the appreciation. These all are hypotheses. In order to prove them true or false, you need to spend some time trying this out, and we are using visualization to prove if there are a relationship between this input and the output we are tracking or not. Once this is clear, we can simply write the story, and the story will contain simple set of statements, and then it's going to be very easy to convert each one of these statements into one chart. So this is what we will be doing. And as we have mentioned yesterday, whenever you got that feeling that you are sitting in front of your visualization tool and you are spending lots of time just thinking without creating something, it means that you have approached the tool early. Let me repeat that. If you got the feeling that you are sitting in front of the tool and you are not executing, you are not typing anything, and you are not moving something, you are thinking in front of the tool, this might be a good indicator that you have reached the tool earlier than you should. Let me tell you why. Usually, when you are using the tool, we use the tool for executing what we want to do. So there is a dashboard I would like to design. There is a chart I would like to create. At least before I start reaching out to the tool, I should have the idea about how this chart would look like. I'm not talking about imagining how it should look like completely. I'm not talking about uh, expecting or calculating how the chart is going to look like or what would be the colors. All these are details, but at least what you are going to draw, what in front of what relationships you would like to uncover. All these decisions need to be made before you head into the execution stage. If you have done so, you will be executing your visualizations with very easily and smooth manner. Okay, perfect. So yesterday we started creating template chart using Tableau, and this is what we will be continuing working on for today. So before we head into Tableau, there is something I would like to share with you first. I need to show you this video.
In 2014, you may have taken a quiz online, something that looked like this. And if you did, you probably shared your personal data and your friends' personal data with the company that worked for President Trump's 2016 campaign. Here's how it happened. It begins with a research firm, Cambridge Analytica. CA partnered with a UK-based academic, Alexander Kogan, who was using Facebook data for research purposes. Quizzes were sent to around 300,000 Americans. They looked innocuous, over 100 personality traits to agree or disagree with. And you got paid less than $5. But there was a catch. To take the survey, you had to log into Facebook, which gave Kogan access to your profile, including your birth date, location, and most importantly, your Facebook likes. Kogan combined the quiz results with your Facebook data to develop a psychometric model, a sort of personality profile. He then combined this with photo records and sent them to Cambridge Analytica. CA claimed that these models were the heart of how they profiled you, your neuroses, and other exploitable traits. But Kogan and CA didn't stop there. His app also grabbed the personal data of your Facebook friends and compiled similar profiles of them. In just months, 270,000 people took Kogan's survey, and the data of up to 87 million friends was also harvested, close to 1/4 of all US Facebook users. CA then used that data to target people, maybe you, with political messaging. CA said this targeting helped the Trump campaign strategy, but the campaign disputes this. Kogan's work claimed to be for academic research, but he also shared your information with Cambridge Analytica, a violation of Facebook's policies. So, was it a data breach? Facebook says no, that no passwords were stolen and no systems were infiltrated. But Mark Zuckerberg has said it was a breach of trust between Facebook and its users. The US Federal Trade Commission is investigating the case.
Have you heard before about the CA case? Anyone? Cambridge Analytica, is it new? Okay. Yeah, okay, perfect. It's new. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, great, thank you. Okay, so the case is showing and highlighting lots of things. We can take away multiple lessons and multiple ideas from that case. Ah, okay, not on these details. Okay, perfect. So CA Cambridge Analytica is data company that has been working with Facebook or using Facebook data, and they have achieved the data somehow, and they could build what we call a data set. And the data set is the core of everything we are doing. It's the core of analytics and the core of visualization. And later on, it's the core of machine learning and artificial intelligence as well. And it states this very simple fact. You got something that you are tracking, and you have lots of parameters that are influencing that thing. And the point is, if you could find the relationship between these inputs and that output, you can easily influence this output. Let me rephrase. What's happened in Cambridge Analytica, and we will be applying the same thing on the HR data that we have. What used to happen is Facebook, after profiling these users, started taking decisions about what news, what posts should be shown or displayed to specific users. For example, if a certain user is obsessed with economy and they are having high concern about what's happening with the money industry because they have, for example, some investment in the country, they will be targeted by positive economical messages along with some news from Trump's campaign. And here, and this is the interesting thing about it, what has been shown, what has been displayed to these users, it's not lies, it's not fake news, it's real news. So there are all the time, there are good news and bad news, but the point is what you are going to focus on. And this is one of the important factors, one of the important parameters of a good visualization, something that we call objectivity. We are going to talk about this in a couple of slides. So being objective is very important. Facebook was not objective with these users. So when I know that you are concerned about the economy, I'm going to show you lots of positive messages. I'm going to show you all the positive news about economy along with some other news from Trump's campaign, and I'm going to hide the negative ones. On the other hand, if someone is obsessed with freedoms, for example, I'm going to show them negative messages about freedom along with some news from the other and the opposite campaign. Facebook didn't lie, didn't show you any fake news, but it started combining what you like with Trump's campaign news and what you don't like with the other campaign news. This is how you start getting attaching. You are attaching this good news with this campaign, and you are attaching this bad news to the other campaign. The main thing that made them being able to influence the opinions of these people is data. They collected this huge amount of data, they could analyze it, they could find the relationship between these data, and they have used this kind of visualization where you can build the psychometric matrix, which is showing you what kind of personality profile is these users, so you can later on take the decision how you are going to influence them. In order to summarize this point, let's agree on this model. Imagine that there is something that you cannot control, something that you wish you can control, but you cannot control. That thing might be your company's market share, the number of voters for your campaign, the turnover in your company, the profit that you are achieving. All these factors are not directly controllable factors. They are out of your hand. But there is a very interesting thing. All these factors are being influenced by other parameters that you can control. Now, there is only one missing link, and the missing link is simply understanding how you can tune what in hand in order to influence what you would like to achieve. Let me repeat. You would like to influence something, but you don't have a direct influencing power on that thing. But the good news is this thing is attached and being influenced by other things in your hand. So your goal is to find the relationship between what you can control and what you would like to achieve. This is the same example that we would like to talk about right now, and we started talking about yesterday, which is the data of the HR. One more time, I'm going to open the data, and today we are going to load the data directly to Tableau, and we will be doing this step by step. Now, I just would like to know if you can just drop a comment or react on Zoom to let me know if you have already installed Tableau at your side or not. Okay, perfect. One, only one. Thanks, Christian. Okay, two. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Great. Thank you. Thanks for your responses. Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. All right, so this is what we will be doing. Now we would like to find the relationship. Thank you, Helen. Thank you. So we would like to find the relationships between what we can control and what we cannot control. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it's very important, and you cannot build your yes, I'll be loading the data one more time when we start moving to Tableau. Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned, while we are looking at this data, the number of charts that can be built is huge. Why is that? Because in each chart, and this is the way we should be looking at the chart, in each chart, you are displaying some factor influenced by another factor. You would like to show the impact, for example, on the time spent in the company.
on the leave state. You would like to see how the promotion is impacting the leave state. You would like to see how the average monthly hours is influencing the leave state. This is what we can do. And looking at the chart or the data from that perspective, you will find that it's only one case when you have selected the leave state as your output. Just by doing this selection, now you are ready to build 10 different charts because you will be trying to find the influence of each one of the other 10 columns on the left. So that is going to be 10. If you are not using leave state, and for example, you would like to see the other parameters on the last evaluation, for example, this is going to give you another 10 charts. So hypothetically, if we are considering a parameter or a table with 11 columns, initially we are thinking about 100 different charts. So the first chart, you are going to fix the first column as an output, and you are using the other columns as inputs. This is 10 different charts. And then you are moving it to the second one. This is another 10. And because you have 11 different parameters, going to be 100 or 110 different charts. But we are not concerned about getting this number because we are not going to plot all these charts, but I'm talking about the expansion, the possibility that you have right here. Not only this, because we will start by building one-to-one relationship or achieving or uncovering one-to-one relationship by looking at this data. However, we can build other charts that are showing multiple parameters. So for example, I would like to see the impact of the number of projects on the leave state, but I'll be considering the number of projects based on the last evaluation. So I would like to see not only the influence of one parameter on the output, I would like to see two parameters influencing one output. And this is going to open the door to a completely new family of charts. So you will be grouping two inputs and one output, two inputs and one output is going to give you lots of combinations. What I'm trying to say in here is when you are looking at 10 columns table, you will have lots of charts that you can start thinking about. And one more time, what I'm trying to do right here is I would like to follow, or I would like to show you a methodology that you can follow each and every time you are being presented with data. How you can approach this data in order to build a good model, to build a good understanding of the data, and then you can design your dashboard and start telling the story. What we are going to do is following these simple steps. Step number one was, what's step number one? Yes, collecting the data. Now we have the data. So we go to stage number two, which is analyzing the data. This is absolutely right, yes. And for analyzing, we are going to use visualizations. So we are going to plot the output versus multiple inputs, and then we start thinking, what does this mean from a business perspective? Let's do this using Tableau. If you have, for any reason, lost the access to um, the Google Drive, let me share the link one more time.
We have in the meeting continuous chat, so you can find it up there, but I'm going to share it. So, okay, thanks, Rola. Thanks. Rola has shared it already. Okay, perfect. So now we are going to start Tableau. And this time I'm going to start from the beginning. Okay, so as we have mentioned yesterday, and as we have seen, Tableau is one of the very commonly used visualization tools. And I always get this question when people start asking, what is the best visualization tool? It is Tableau, it is Power BI, and I have two answers for this question. The first answer is very simple. I always say that if you would like to see what is the best visualization tool, you can look at the name of this session. If the name of this session says that we are going to learn visualization using Tableau, so my answer is going to be Tableau is the best. If the session is about visualization using Power BI, I'm going to defend Power BI. I'm not, this is actually just to show you what I actually think about the visualization tool. And I have mentioned this yesterday. From my perspective, most of visualization tools should be providing you with the basic capabilities. And if you know what you are going to visualize, you will feel that the tool is transparent. The tool is just helping you to achieve what you want to achieve. So the differences between the tools, yes, I'm not saying that all the tools are exactly the same, but I'm saying that basically you can use any tool to achieve what you want to achieve. There are some differences between these tools in a very specific parts. For example, if you are using Microsoft technology stack and you have the Microsoft Ultimate subscription and everything in your company is based on Microsoft and you would like to build basic visualizations, I'm going to recommend you to stick with Power BI definitely. It's going to be easier and it's going to be within the eco state, so you don't have to worry much about other things. If you would like, on the other hand, if you would like to build more sophisticated charts and you have heavy dependency on the data and the visualization, Tableau is going to provide you more advanced features than Power BI. If you are, and this is another case, a couple of weeks back, I have been involved in a data project with one of the companies in South Africa, and it turns out that all their infrastructure, data, and databases are hosted on AWS, Amazon AWS. So in that case, the decision was to use the AWS visualization tool, which is called QuickSight. So lots of parameters are influencing the selection of the tool. And in most of cases, these decisions might be made not because of the tool, but because of the situation. So we do not have an ultimate goal that this tool is the best one, but in general, I can feel that Tableau is covering a wide range of the use cases, having this free version and making you able uh, to build your visualization locally on your machine or using the web interface because there is a web version of Tableau as well. It's very useful and it's very helpful as well. Okay, perfect. So in the beginning, how we can get started with Tableau. Once you open Tableau, you will find the first part is about Connect. So here you can start loading the data. Yes, 100%. It depends on the state, but I see that Tableau is very commonly used in that case. Yeah, most of customers I have been dealing with, they are using Tableau. And the good thing about, and this is why we are lucky, because if you are learning something, if you are new to it, so it doesn't matter. All the tools are going to be good. So for the basic, for covering the basic features, everything is going to be close to each other. But yeah, the short answer to your question is Tableau. Okay, so here you start by loading the data. And in order to load the data, we have lots of other parameters. We can load lots of data types. So we can start with Excel sheets, text files, JSON file, PDF, spatial file, statistical file, or we can connect it to a database. So you can define the OData so you can connect to database. Once you start your collection, once you select how you are going to load the data, Tableau is going to go and fetch this data, is going to display it in front of you, and is going to show you what are the columns that you are dealing with. The HR file that we have been using, it looked like an Excel sheet, so we could open it using Excel, but actually it's CSV file. And if this is the first time to hear the word or to deal with a CSV file, CSV stands for comma separated values. And the comma separated values is actually a text file. It's a normal text file where each column is separated with a comma from the other column. So for example, you have details of user, you have username, email, phone number, address. So it's a text file where each parameter is split by comma. And this is why we consider it as text file. Here I'm going to click on the text file and I'll be seeing my file in here. So I'm going to open that. Okay, perfect. So this is how your data looks like. Okay, perfect. So as you can see here, once you have loaded the data, it's showing you something called type, the field name, the physical table, and the remote field name. And the differences here is the remote field name is the actual column name inside the file. But Tableau is displaying it in a more user-friendly. So as you can see here, we have something called satisfaction underscore level. It's showing it as satisfaction level. So it's just displaying it in a better way. I just would like to erase the, okay. Okay, perfect. So one very important thing that we need to consider here, which is the type. As you can see here, we have type as hash and type as ABC. What do you think ABC mean and the hash mean? There is some field. Yes, ABC is text. Yes, this is absolutely right. Yes, 100%. Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is absolutely right. Yes. So hash, it means that this parameter is numeric parameter, but ABC means that this parameter is text parameter. Perfect. Now we have a couple of parameters, couple of ideas about Tableau. I'm going to list them, and trust me on that. If you keep tracking, if you keep these ideas clear in your mind, Tableau or working with Tableau is going to be easier than you think. The first one, the stages inside Tableau. We load Tableau, we load the data into Tableau. This is the first step, which is called data source. Can you see it here? Data source. This is where you load the data. Secondly, you start creating what we call sheets. And the sheet contains only one chart. So you load the data and then you create a sheet, which is containing one chart. And then you create another and another sheet and another sheet. All these sheets are being created just for understanding, for defining the relationships between the data. Then, once you are done with your individual charts, it's time to combine them into what we call the stage, which is the dashboard. Finally, if you have more details to be told than the dashboard, you can combine a dashboard with sheets, with other dashboards, with images, with text, with animation in something that looks like a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation that we call storyboard. So what we are doing here, the main stages that we can see is loading the data. This is the first thing we start with. And then creating the sheets. And then creating the dashboard, which contains the sheet. And finally, creating the storyboard. These are the things that we are going through. What we are going to do right now is we are going to focus on creating the sheet, and then we are going to use this sheet into the dashboards. So we have loaded the data. Now we are going to create the sheet. Let me head to sheet 1, and as you can see, the sheet is empty. Now we are seeing something called columns, something called rows, and we have something called marks. We will be getting to this in a moment. I would like just to draw your attention to what's going to happen here inside this part, because what we are going to do here is the core actually of Tableau. Now, as you can see, there is a split between 3 parameters and then the rest of other parameters. Who would like to tell us why this split? Why is it split that way? What's the difference between what is above the line and what's below the line? Yes. Thank you so much. This is actually very specific answer. So yeah, it's clear that you have been using Tableau for a while. Yeah, dimensions and mirrors, 100%. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Anyone would have an easier or simpler answer? So what we have above the line is the text parameters, and what we have below the line is the numeric parameters. Yes, this is absolutely right, 100%. Yeah. So what we are seeing here and what we can do is, yeah, that's right. That's right. This is absolutely right. Yeah. Text and states. Yes, this is right. Okay. So the main thing about Tableau is it's very simple. There is something that you are measuring versus something that you are tracking. Let me give you another feeling of it. So here, for example, you got a department. And one of the things that you can measure here is the count of elements. What if I'm telling you that I'm going to count all the records inside the sheet and I'm going to group them by the department? One more time. I'm going to pick one measure versus one of the parameters from up there. So I'm going to put what I'm measuring inside the rows, and I'm going to use the department as columns. What does this mean? What information can be gathered from that chart? What can you tell when you look at this? 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. Yes, the number of employees in each department. It's the distribution of employees per department. And this is the main rule that we are going to stick to it in order to build easy charts that are providing a message and not confusing for us. Every time you are trying to show a message, you are trying to see the influence of something on what you are measuring. The rule is very simple. You are measuring something. What you are trying to measure, just grab what you are trying to measure into the rows. And whatever you are trying to see its influence, grab it into the columns. So for example, here, what did I put inside the rows? Is it the total number of employees? Yes, the people who has left. So now I can look at the people who has left per department. Or I can look at the count of the total users per department. So now I'm tracking one thing, and that thing is being divided by one parameter. Yeah. Can we add two rows? Okay, this is a very good one. Yes, technically I can add two rows, but usually it's more convenient to keep one row even with multiple columns. Let me show you how. For example, I'm going to track the people who has left. So now I'm seeing the people who has left based on the department. But I can expand this even more. So I can look at the people who has left their department, and I can group them also by the number of projects. So for example, instead of having this number of columns, I'm going to split for each department multiple columns. So inside the sales, I'm going to see the people who has inside the same department who has working on 2 projects, 3 projects, 4 projects, or 5, and I'm going to track the height of the columns. Because if I'm adding multiple rows, it means that I'm counting or I'm measuring multiple parameters. And as we have mentioned in the beginning, most of the time I'm going to track only one parameter. So the rule of thumb is your output always go inside the rows, and the columns is going to divide what you are measuring, what you are counting based on some parameters. So this is going to show you the impact of what is in the column on what is in the row. Does it make sense? Let me get one step back. We say that there is something that we would like to track. There is something that we would like to influence, but we don't have a direct influencing on it. And we have other things that we can take decisions about. So if we can understand the relationship between what we want to influence and it's out of our control, and what is in hand, if we could find this relationship, we can take decisions about what's in our hand, and we will be able to see the increment or the decrement that we are expecting. Make sense? Sounds good. Let me clear this, and I'm going to ask you a question. What if I would like to measure the average satisfaction rate per department? And when I say that, I would like to measure the average satisfaction rate per department. I need to see the influence of the department on the satisfaction rate. I would like to see whether the department is influencing the happiness of the employees or not. Do you think this is an important information? A useful insight? Okay, perfect. How can we do this? Yes, thank you. How can we do this? How can I plot the relationship between the department and the satisfaction rate? In this case, based on what I have just mentioned, yes. So the department is going to be in the column and the satisfaction rate is going to be in the row. This is absolutely right. So I'm going to drag the satisfaction rate into the rows. But what we are counting here, are we counting the number of records for the satisfaction rate? No, we need the average value, right? Yes. So if you click on this small arrow in here, it's going to show you how this is being measured. So this is being measured as sum, which is correct in some other cases, but in this case, we would like to collect the average. What you are seeing here is the total average per organization. The total average. Now you can start splitting that average based on one of the parameters. So I'm going to split this based on the department. What are we seeing here? What's the information? What's the insight? What does this graph tell you? And let's agree on that. And this is something that we are going to highlight when it comes to the storytelling part. Keep always in mind that every time you build a chart, every time you build a visual, your audience are going to receive one clear message from this chart. So when you look at this, what is the fastest message that your audience are going to have? Account department has the lowest satisfaction level. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Department like IT management, research and development support are really satisfied with it. Okay, perfect, perfect. That's absolutely right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, but can we see a significant difference? Is there a significant difference between the accounting and other fields? No, not really. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, and this is why it's very important that once you start presenting this chart, you need to read or to know exactly what message you are going to deliver. So I'm going to look at this chart. I'm going to analyze this chart from two different perspectives or in two different situations. Let's say that we are building this chart for an organization, and this organization is saying that we are having very high support to our technical and IT teams. Our technical and IT teams are very empowered inside the company. So they should look more satisfied than others. If this is a hypothesis, something that's commonly announced inside the company, in that case, this chart is going to be very important to be presented because it's showing new information. And this is the beauty about visualization. And keep this in mind. Do not visualize what's already expected. If we know already that all the departments are having almost the same satisfaction level, if this is what we know inside the company and this is already known, I'm going to exclude this chart from my dashboard. Why is that? Because it doesn't tell anything new. When I'm going to include it, I'm going to include it if there is a hype, if there is an idea telling that some departments are happier than others. And by looking at the data, and by the way, this is logical. If I'm telling you that the salespeople are happier than the IT teams, that might make sense because they don't have this technical stress, for example. On the other hand, the sales team might think that technical teams are happier because they are not under the pressure of achieving the target. Both teams might think that accountants are living an easier life. So all of these are logical, but what is actual, it's saying that the satisfaction level among the whole company is not different from a department to another department. So if there is some idea that is different from what I could see in the data, I should include this with an explanation to correct the mindset of the audience. If what I'm seeing is exactly what they are expecting, so at this point of time, I will start doubting the value of this parameter. Does it make sense? Yes, no? Okay, perfect. So, perfect, awesome, thank you. Okay, so what if I would like to see the satisfaction level, not based on the department, but I would like to see the satisfaction level based on the numbers of years inside the company. So I would like to plot satisfaction level versus time spent in the company. How this chart would look like? Always remember that you are plotting one thing. Always you start with one bar, and then you start adding a dimension. That dimension is going to split this bar to a number of bars equivalent to the values inside this dimension. So for example, when I put here the dimensions, the department, this has been splitted into this number. Why is that? Because these are the values inside the department field. For example, if I have here another parameter, which is, for example, gender, how many bars are going to be if I splitted this bar based on gender? Yes, 2. Thank God. Any more? It's only 2, right? It was a tricky question anyways. Okay. Yeah. For splitting based on the gender, it should be 2. Anyways, okay. So now I would like to split this based on the time spent in the company, but there is a catch. In the previous time, we always grab one of these numbers to count or to measure, and we pick one of these parameters on top as column. In this case, if I would like to specify, if I would like to, yes, both of them are numerical measures, but if both of them are numerical measures, am I going to count the years or get the summation of years? No. In this case, the time spent in the company or the number of projects that we have seen yesterday, the parameter, which is number of projects, as you can see here, doesn't make sense. The number of projects, it's actually, yes, it contains the values 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. But I'm not using these as numbers. I'm using them as categories. I'm grouping the employees based on the number of projects that they have worked on. So in that case, I'm not using these 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which are the number of projects, as actual numbers. I'm using them as categories, as types, as groups. And this is why I'm going to click on the number of projects, and I'm going to say that this is a number, this is true, but I'm not using it as a number. In other words, this is not my output. I'm not tracking this. So I'm going to convert this into dimension. Once I click on that, it's still a number with the hash, but it's going to be moved up. It's still a number, but that number is going to be treated as a category. So if I started dragging and dropping this into the columns, I'm going to see this beauty. And here where things are getting more interesting. The people who are working on 3, 4, 5 projects are more satisfied, way more satisfied than the people who are working on 6 and 7 projects. Does it make sense? Does it tell something? Is it an interesting from a business point of view? Yeah. Now we start uncovering secrets. Now we are start, yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. Now we can start explaining it from business perspective. Now we are understanding the data. We are getting into a better understanding of the data so we can build a better decisions or take better decisions later on. Okay, thank you so much. So what we have been talking about Tableau so far is this. We started by loading the data into Tableau from the tab, which is called data source. After we have loaded the data, we went to sheets. And inside the sheet, we say that the data, the columns are going to be split into 2 groups. Initially, Tableau is splitting it based on the data type. It's using all the numeric value as candidates to be measured, and all the text value as dimensions. But based on the business meaning, we are not going to count or to sum all the numeric values that we have. Some numeric values are going to be used as categories. It's exactly the same. For example, if you are having a gender, and the gender column is having the values 0 and 1, and 0 is referring to male or female, and the 1 is referring to the other gender. Tableau is going to identify this as measure. However, it's not something that you are going to measure. It's something that you are going to use for grouping. You are going to see the impact. You would like to track the impact of the gender on something, on the satisfaction level, on the salary, whatever. At this point, you can convert this from the default expectation of Tableau as measure. You can convert it into a dimension. Once you start building the chart, and what I'm saying is we have applied this on bar chart, but it's applicable on all different types of charts. And on personal level, I usually start with bar charts and then I move to other types of charts. So building the bar chart is very simple in these steps. First, you selected the output, the numeric value, the measure that you are tracking. You drag and drop this into the rows. Now you start thinking about the columns, which is the dimension that you are going to split the row based on. You drag this into the columns. You will find that one column has been split into multiple columns equivalent to the number of groups in your dimension. So this is how we keep it. The same thing can happen, for example, with the promotion. We will be looking at the rest of the parameters. We'll be converting them, and then we are going to look at creating one chart with one row and multiple columns and how this is going to look like. But before doing this, we deserve a short break so we can have a few minutes break and then we get back. Do you have any questions before we have our break? All good? Everything is fine? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Let's have a short break and then we get back. Enjoy your break. I see you in 15 minutes. Okay. So before the break, we started investigating the main building blocks, the main ideas of building a Tableau board. So we say that in the beginning, we have to define what we are measuring, and this measurement can be counting, average, percentage. We have lots of different counts. And this is why I'm saying that whenever you are dealing with Tableau or any other visualization tool, it's very important to know what you want to do because, for example, here we are displaying the average of the satisfaction rate. Tableau is showing you lots of different parameters, lots of different other ways of averaging or measurement. So you can measure, you can count the sync, you can get the median, you can plot only the minimum and the maximum. So you can plot instead of the average, I can plot the minimum value uh, of the satisfaction, the worst parameters or the departments with the lowest satisfaction rate, for example. So the lowest satisfaction rate is 0.09 on on all of them. It's equal in that case. What is the maximum satisfaction rate? It's 1. So if you are looking at the average, you will be seeing different value and so on and so forth. So um, what I'm trying to say here is the tool is there to help you achieve what you want to do. So you cannot start with the tool before you decide what you want to do. So this is why starting your visualization with something in mind, this is very important. Okay, let me just clear everything now and let's start looking one more time on the data. I'm getting back to the data in here and let's define our inputs and our outputs. We agreed on something that we are tracking, one parameter, which is what are we tracking here? The left. Okay, so we are tracking the left value. Okay, perfect. So we would like to see what are, so everything else besides the left should be considered as dimension. If you are measuring only the left, so you would like to see the impact of other things on the left. For example, you are going to see the accident. How is it impacting the left? The department, the salary, for example. So everything else is going to be dimension. But only the salary and the department are being considered as dimensions because they are by default numeric values. But we need to change the time spent in the company to a dimension, the average monthly hour to a dimension, the number of projects, we have already done this, the last evaluation, and the satisfaction level also to dimensions. So let me get back in here. And I'm going to say that the average monthly hours is going to be dimension. The last evaluation is also dimension. The promotion in the other 5 years dimension. Satisfaction level is also a dimension. Time spent at the company is dimension. Work accident is also a dimension. So in here we have only the left state and the count. Why are we keeping only these as dimensions? Because the count it's measured by default. It's the number of records. Okay. What would be the difference between, for example, plotting the left per department or plotting the count per department? Left per department, it's showing you the number of persons who has left the company per this department. If you are only counting this, it's going to show you this is going to show you the people who has left. As you can see, and I believe we got this question before the break, can I be measuring two things so two other things are in the row? Yes, I can, but as you can see, they are not relevant right now. I'm going to show you how you can display multiple things, but in this case, we are sticking to only one. What I'm trying to say here is, imagine that you are trying to see the impact of the department on the leave. So you are plotting this. What is the message that you will be getting from here? The highest turnover is in which department? Sales department. This is absolutely right. Yes. It's in the sales department. Does it mean that there is something wrong with the sales? Maybe. Or maybe the count of the sales is bigger. Yes, targets are not met. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so lots of people leave. Yeah, that's right. Or maybe the population of the sales is higher. And this is what you can see from the second one. So the first one is showing you how many persons has left in each department. And the other one is showing you the count of employees who has left and have stayed inside a department. Does make sense? So what if I would like to see per department, I would like to see the number of employees who has left per department. Yes, yeah, this is right. Yeah, it is inclusive. So I would like to see the number of people who has left per department based on the population. Okay, let me, before doing this, show you something else. Now I'm having I'm sorry. Tableau has crashed. Let me open it again. Okay, let me show you this. Now I would like to show two different dimensions. So if it is two different dimensions, we saw what happened when we added two parameters into the rows. We had two different charts. But if I'm measuring only one thing and I'm having multiple dimensions, this column is going to be splitted multiple times. Let me show you what's going to happen. First, I'm going to split it by department. So I have this number of departments. Now I'm going to split it further based on the salary. So it's going to look like this. That column has been split into the number of departments, which is, in this case, 3, 6, 10 different departments. So that column has been split into 10 different columns. And then we split it within each department, that column into 3 columns showing the low, high, and medium salary. So you have 10 different sections, and each section has 3 different columns. What's going to happen if we change the order? So I'm going to split by salary, then department. Do you think the number of columns is going to be different? Or they are going to be the same, 30? In other words, I'm starting with one column. I'm splitting that column with a dimension that contain 10 different values. I'm going to end up with 10 different columns. Now I'm going to add another dimension, which is containing 3 different categories. These 10 columns are going to be split into 30 columns because each one column is going to be split into 3. So I'll have 30 columns. If I'm changing only the order, they are going to be 3, but they're going to be split in a different way. So this is how the salary structure. I'm going to split each one of them into 10. So the bigger value is high, low, medium, and within each salary range, we have the salaries inside the department. Does that make sense? So far, so good? Yeah. Clear. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, so this is what we do it. Now let's have a look on what you are seeing here. Do you think that what we are seeing here, it looks nice? Is it informative? Yes, no? Is it informative? Yeah. What does this mean in terms of, yes, this is a very good important, this is a very important question. And this is why in the beginning, as we have mentioned, during the analytical phase, we plot things. Maybe we don't know the business meaning before we plot, but we should know what is the analytical meaning. In other words, here I'm going to display, I'm counting or seeing the people who has left per department, and I'm comparing that to the salary as well. Let me remove the department first. And as you can see, is there a relationship between the salary and the leave state? Yes, most of people has left with low salary. This is absolutely right. And very tiny amount of people with high salary actually has left. Now, from this, yes, exactly. Thank you. So from this simple Excel sheet, we know lots about this company. We know how the hierarchy in this company works. And we know that the highest, the top management, they are actually low in number, but they are getting paid very well. So lots of things actually are being clear right now. Do you think that, or if we would like to see the people with high income, I would like to see the distribution of people with high income among the departments. What the skill, let me put this so we will be on the same page. What skill are we trying to master right now? We are trying to master the skill of converting a business question into a chart. Let me repeat. I would like to see something. I would like to uncover one insight. So for example, the insight that I would like to uncover right now is the distribution of highly paid employees per department. I would like to learn, I would like to agree with you on a methodology that we can do without thinking. So from this statement, we know exactly, or we can convert or translate this into a chart type, what goes inside the rows and what goes inside the columns to answer this question. Let me repeat. I would like to see the distribution of high income employees per department. In other words, I would like to see what are the departments that are paying more salaries than other departments. Or maybe I'm wrong and all the departments are paying the same average. Anyways, I'm not sure. As I'm telling you that, I know how to build the graph, but how the data is going to be distributed on the graph, it's based on the actual state. We don't know yet. So let me repeat what I have just said. I would like to see the distribution of the employees that are getting highly paid among the departments. Looking at this statement, we are going to follow the exact same methodology. First, what are you tracking? As per what I have said, have I mentioned anything related to the leave? No. So I'm just tracking the total number of employees. Very well. I'm going to count the employees. Perfect. We have almost 15,000 records. Perfect. Secondly, what are the parameters that we would like to include? Department and salary, right? But what I have said is I don't want to see the departments and the salary for all values. I'm focusing only on the users or the employees that are getting paid high salaries. So what I'm expecting is I'm going to see only 10 columns. And these 10 columns, each one of these 10 columns is showing me how many employees are getting well paid per each department. So only one column for the IT, the number of top management people in IT, the number of top management people in sales, and so on and so forth. In order to do this, the salary shouldn't be put into the columns. Now we are going to use a new thing in Tableau, which is called filters. And here I can select all, or I can select only one. So here I'm going to click apply. Okay. And here you go. What we are seeing is the total number of employees per department that are getting paid well. So it seems that the highest department is the sales. Does make sense? Yeah, of course, sure. Okay, one more time. So what I'm saying is, yeah, of course, sure. From the beginning, as I told you, building the chart is just a couple of seconds. It's so we can build it over and over again. It's totally fine. I would like to see the number of employees. So without thinking, the count of employees goes into the row. This is what I'm counting. I would like to see the number of employees. This is the total number of employees among the whole country. I would like to see only the top paid employees per department. So what I have just said is going to make me split this per department first, and then use the salary as filter. Once I start dropping the salary into the filters, it's going to show me what kind of values you would like to include. So I'm going to use high, and it's going to show me this. What we are seeing is the only top paid users or the only top paid employees per department. Does it make sense? Yeah. So I'm using, instead of, yeah, thanks. So instead of using the salary and the department as columns, which is going to result in 30 different uh, parameters or 30 different columns, I have used the department as dimension, which has splitted the total number, the total population of the employees into 10 different columns representing the total number of employees per department. And then I have included only the parameters or the employees with high salary. So I got a chart that looks like this. So this is an approach. I have another approach. Instead of using it, or instead of using the salary as filter, I can use the salary as color. So instead of dropping the salary as filter, I'm going to drop the salary as color. You guys are going to tell me, what does it mean? What happened? What happened here? Yes. Now I'm looking at each department and I'm splitting that department to high, low, and medium. Now it is giving you a better insight about the percentage of people who are getting high salary with respect to the total number inside the employee. Exactly. Thank you so much. 100%. Yes, thank you, Christian. Yes. Sales has the most workers and also it has the least paid. Yes, that's right. Yeah. And it has also the most paid. So we can say that sales is the biggest department. Yeah, that's right. But from a previous chart, we could see that the most people who are leaving the company, they are actually leaving from the sales department. Let me add this into another sheet. So in another sheet, I'm going to plot the users, the employees that has left as sum, and I'm going to split them by department. So these are the people who has left, which is showing that the most of people has left from the sales department as well. Let me color this by the salary. And it's quite clear right now is the people with good salaries don't leave. But the people with low salary leaves a lot. So based on this, as a retention mechanism, yes, that's right. Absolutely, 100%. So as a retention mechanism, is it going to be a good decision to use high salaries and bonuses to reduce the turnover? Yes. Okay, perfect. Yeah. We are happy with this result, right? Yeah. Give us more money and we stay, right? Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And this is how, like, what they call in the news channels, they are saying that a developing story. They are saying that there is, now we started knowing something, but as I mentioned before, we shouldn't jump into the conclusion. We shouldn't jump into the dashboard. Why I'm saying that? Because yet we did not include the promotion state. We did not include the evaluation. We did not include the workload. Maybe people who are they getting paid less. They are moving, but maybe they are not leaving because they are getting paid less. Maybe they are leaving because they are having lots of work pressure. Because if I'm getting paid less, I'm not getting paid much, but I don't have work pressure. And I'm getting promoted frequently. So very quickly, I'm going to move from the low paying to the medium paying, and then I'm going to move to the high sales. So that might be a good path to follow. And this is, by the way, one of the known cultures of some companies. Some companies are not giving good and competitive increments. They are giving good starting rate, good starting salary, but the annual increase is very low. But once you got promoted from a position to position, you are getting a good amount. So if you are spending 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you are not getting that high increase. But once you, for example, complete 5 years, you are getting a promotion. So your salary is going to be doubled or more than this. So this is might be a working strategy. Is it happening in this company? We don't know yet. So we would like to see how the promotion is impacting the leave state. And now, as we have mentioned, we are developing the skill of converting the business question into a chart. And we have only a couple of seconds left. Can we plot the impact of leave state? How is it being impacted by the promotion? Yes, in 2 or 3 seconds, we can do this. And it's clear, right? 19 employees only got or left even with the promotion. And this number of employees has left because, and we are not saying because, they didn't get a promotion and they have left. So it might be showing this impact and that kind of a chart. And once you start getting this insight, it might be a good time to click on this show me to select another type of chart, something like this. And when you look at this thing, I believe it's quite clear that you can tell the majority and the minority. It's showing you how the promotion has impacted the turnover. So this thin line is the number of people who has left while getting or after getting a promotion. The others are people who didn't leave or who left without getting a promotion. So far, so good. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, so this is what we wanted to cover today together. We started moving from looking at the data into plotting this data inside Tableau. Today, we have talked about the basics and the core of Tableau, how we use it for building charts. We didn't get into the dashboard yet. We are in a stage of building the charts, not to communicate the result. We are still at the stage of understanding the data. We would like to see what are the most influencing factors on the leaving state. In the beginning, we could see that there is some kind of relationship between the low paid salaries and the living state. Now we are getting more stronger and more obvious relationship between the promotion and the living state. Some people, yes, some people would prefer to have the same salary even, but they might get promoted. If I got promoted with that or with almost the same salary for some people, that's fine. Maybe on my personal level, it might not be working that way. But as we have mentioned, we do not judge based on our logic. We are judging based on the actual state, which is being reflected in the data. And the data is saying that the people who got promoted are very rarely to leave the company. Lots of things are way to go. What we will be seeing next, we will be talking about the impact of other parameters as well, in addition to seeing how we can combine multiple parameters, multiple dimensions in one chart, and we will be getting to know other charts as well, like the bubble chart, the line chart, the stacked chart, and the map. We will be talking about this. And finally, we will learn how we can combine all these findings into one dashboard, while this dashboard is going to tell a story. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. It was a pleasure being with you, and I wish you a lovely day ahead. And we will be meeting tomorrow, inshallah, on the same time. Thank you so much, and take care. Bye. Thank you.